We're going to start. So our agenda as starts today will be, and excuse me, I will have my camera off only because I am in a non-space and it's kind of loud. Anywho, um, but our agenda for today is the public outreach and communication strategy. This is something that we've been working on for I think the past couple of months, and we've gotten a good start, a good foundation, but the execution primarily has been something that we've kind of been, for lack of a better term, struggling with. And so we wanted to definitely address that today. So in that capacity, I first kind of want to bring up that Ms. Warner Wiggins, can you give an update? I know you sent it out in the email, but can you give an update on the communications from, I guess, the communications department or whatever may have you from the admin side of the county executive, which I think is what we wanted to kind of utilize as we went forward.
So to be frank, I am not aware of any specific communication staff in the county executive's office. Um, I don't have a specific contact in that office that would be focusing on communications at this time. Uh, I imagine as time goes on, that role will be filled and we'll have a specific contact that we can reach out to. But at this time, I am not aware of there being a contact.
Okay, and just to be
Mhm.
clear, it was the
Mhm.
county executive's office that we wanted to go through for like communications in context to the county, correct? Was it the county executive or 311?
It would not be 311. It but in the with the prior administration, we communicated with I believe her title was director of communications, and there was also a deputy um, associated with the county executive's office. The county council does have a communication staff, but they've advised me that this is not the type of initiative that they would work on, that it needs to be done through the executive branch. So that's where we are.
Hmm. Okay. And then the executive branch doesn't have a communications person for us to tap into.
Not that I'm aware of. So I will keep inquiring and see if I have more information. But I am not aware of someone who has that specific role.
Okay. I w- um I mean, I feel like, and this is definitely not you're amazing. I feel like there's someone handling something because she's sending out
Mm-hmm.
communications and this and the third. I don't know if that's her, I don't know if that would be like her chief of staff or something to that
Mm-hmm.
effect, but there has to be um someone
Mm-hmm.
handling that because we're getting communications from her and from her office.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so
Yeah, I'll have to find out, yeah, who that may be.
okay, okay. Um, all right. So that will be good for us to know so that we can move forward with sending stuff out to the county as a whole. I know the other part of this was we wanted to make sure that we were touching on different community organizations such as HOAs, civic associations, nonprofit organizations, the Divine Nine. Anytime you listen, anytime anyone wants to jump in, that's fine. We want to make sure. I know Commissioner Smith had brought up the Women's League of Voters, different other different organizations for us to reach out to do community information sessions, and I just want to see like where we are as a commission in context to starting those and feeling comfortable with it. I know that we had a PowerPoint slideshow that we were trying to utilize. in order to reach out to the community. Has that, and I feel like we gave our edits and our input for that so that we could start to utilize that. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, so we have a presentation that we used in the last fall um,
Mhm.
um, to just kind of describe the program overall. Um,
And I think myself and Commissioner Belachandran had given some feedback, as well as the other commissioners had given some feedback on that presentation to where it would be more of what we were looking for when we were going into these spaces.
okay, so I can look and see what if I had those notes. I'll look for those notes.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and I can send that out.
Okay. Okay. And so definitely want to make sure that we have that presentation for the commissioners to review one more time so that once we are all okay with that, that's what we're using to go out with. Um, so that being said, I did want to open it up to the commission. It means it's already been open, and ask about any other pointers in regards to the outreach and communication strategy that we need to really be honestly affecting now. I know with the HOAs and civic associations, they were on a break for the summer, but they're back now. So getting on their agenda would be great. But I'll open it up to any other statements and questions from the commission as a whole.
Yeah, for me, I could jump in.
Mm-hmm.
So I did last Saturday attend the membership meeting of it's a monthly meeting, I think, of the League of Women Voters. And I think I just sent a little email about that. So there were like 20 people. It was but it kind of came together at the last minute while we had it set up a couple weeks ahead of time. It really didn't come together. So I didn't get it enough information to be able to do outreach to get other people to participate. But for the folks that were there and as their leadership and quite a few people from that are relatively well plugged into a number of organizations. And I didn't use a PowerPoint. It's kind of a little bit more informal than that. And but we covered a lot of ground. Ended up having a full half hour, maybe even more. There were quite a few questions, and people were interested. And I think people really are interested in the undue influence of money in elections. And so it resonates and people are interested. And so there's just a lot of questions about how it works. And one of the outcomes were that there were two women from Riderwood. So in which Riderwood, they explained to us, is situated as, it's a huge retirement community. Half of it's Montgomery County, half of it is in Prince George's. And so the two women that came were relatively new. I think they might have been there 1 to 2 years, but they were, a lot of these people have had long backgrounds with League of Women Voters, seem pretty familiar with their operation and want to dive in. So they were interested in doing a program there. And we could, when I presume they'll get in touch with me, and then I can pass that on. We'll see the timing and who would be appropriate to go and join that. And I'd be open to, we can talk to them and see whether they would want to do a joint thing with Montgomery County or just however they want to divide it up for, because they have enough residents that they probably could draw enough just for Prince George's. And then while the meeting was at Hollington Retirement Community up on Lotsford Road, which I'm real familiar with, my parents lived there for 10 years. It was outside folks primarily at this meeting. So a couple of folks from Collington said they might be interested in doing a program for their community, which is, I think it's 450 people or something. And some of them are very active politically in a lot of different elections. They typically have forums on all of the elections there. So that would be another good one we hear if we hear back from them. one of the things that, just kind of back up for a second about just material, since it doesn't look like we're going to get some immediate assistance, is that I believe I sent in my little update, whatever it was yesterday or the day before, that there was a one-page flyer that is came out from Fair Elections Maryland. I think this is like, I think the file I have is dated 2017, but it's about, so it's from the coalition of the state coalition, a very large one, which I looked it up, and it included League of Women Voters in Maryland and huge number of groups supporting the expansion of fair elections in the state. And the information on this fact sheet that that I still had, or that Suchitra sent me, was still, it's very accurate. So I don't think there's anything that changed on this part. I just used the front of it, but I handed that at the end just so people had some reference. But I'm thinking we could, if we would just do a fact sheet about the program, post it on the website, that would be really helpful. We could use that to help spread the word. And even with that, we might even get some of our council members to pick that up and use their outreach to promote it. But also it would give, I think, the staff, and understand, new people in communications. I used to do that for a living a few years ago, but I can understand that they have a lot of demands. And if we can hand them some information that's sort of concise or easy access for them, that maybe we can get stuff sooner rather than later. So I'm just wondering if we could, folks could take a look at that, uh, see what they think, and we could maybe even trim it down. But it just has some basics about why, how the program works, what it takes to qualify. And I think this example here was really for county council district seats. So it has the information about needing to raise $7,500 from 150 residents, no more than $250 and from each. And then it outlines the match levels. And we could add in the numbers for at large probably pretty easily with just a couple more bullets. But what do folks think about doing just something like that, looking at this, posting it on our website, and then we, or anybody else we want to engage, we can send this to them, or we can have them find it on our website.
I think that's good. Can you share your screen so that we can actually see the document you're talking about, or would that be okay?
Potentially. Or I don't know whether, Jackie, if did you have the one that I had, I thought I sent as
Yes.
attachment.
Yes, I can pull it up.
Okay, that might be easier.
Okay.
But so anyway, just the idea of something like this, and it might be that a different, an additional just FAQ, just pulling some things from the guidebook that's already there. And maybe I haven't looked at it real closely with this in mind lately, but there's probably just a few things we could even pull out of that and turn into just like an additional document FAQ, that, like, those two things put on the website, I think provide some just very helpful information.
Okay.
So that's the second page. And I
Mhm.
actually just thought, for my purpose, that there's just a lot too much copy and I don't want to distract
Mhm.
people too much. So I just copied the first page and
Mhm.
had that available. But I'd be open to, if people think there's, other points that should be included, we could do that.
Can you scroll up a little bit?
Scroll it. Mhm.
Or I'm sorry, down.
Or down. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and the chart on the right's a little jumbled in terms of those numbers on that right column. There, the file's a little corrupted or something printed over, but the point is there, and it's the numbers are in the left bullets there, but just showing the amplification of that.
Okay, I'm fine with this being put on our website. Um, I do think that we had, Ms. One Organs, I know we had questions about just our website and the information on it and how quickly the person that was over it would be able to do that.
Mhm.
Is our web, go ahead.
Yeah, generally, if you let me know what you want on there, I can pass it on and they can upload it usually within a day or two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's actually vote on this. On adding this first page, or this is the second page.
Well, and just to jump in, I would say with some light editing, but changing the
Mhm.
branding so that it's not Fair Elections Maryland, but however, something Prince George's, and at the bottom there's a website for Fair Elections Maryland, and while that's fine, I don't think this is the place for that. We could, if we had a FAQ, we could put other resources, and like for example, Kevin, who's on here, but that may not be appropriate on this document, but I would think an FAQ that would have other resources available and background information and contacts would be great to do that.
Okay, so I guess if we can have a motion to utilize this page as a template and make edits in order to put on our own web page for information for the general public to include a FAQ. I guess that I'll make that motion. Do I have a second?
Yeah. Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Can I
Aye.
just say a few things before we vote on it?
Sure.
Sorry for being late. I'm confused about whether it started at 6 or 6:30 because I'm used to it starting on the half hour when I'm in India, and I thought it was starting at 6:30. So I was busily getting ready for it, and then I got this frantic message text from Dan saying, "Where am I?" So here I am. So I created this document that we're looking at, and this goes back to 2018 when we were sort of organizing to pass the legislation. So I have the doc files. I have, this is the PDF, but I have various versions and doc files and stuff. So we can feel free to kind of edit that and bring it up to whatever, status we are in to put this out. This was taken, sort of carved out from a previous campaign to pass this legislation in Montgomery County, and the Fair Elections Coalition, from whom I swiped all this, was the group of organizations that was helping to pass legislation in various counties. So that's just as a background. But I do have all these materials sitting in a folder, so I'm happy to share and work with whoever wants to kind of edit and put this stuff together. I think the graph at the bottom is kind of useful to tell people how the matching funds actually goes, and we can figure out what we want and don't want from this and how it's relevant. And so I guess the question is, can we just say Fair Elections, this comes from the Fair Elections Prince George's group? That's one question. But that is the only thing. And then I have some other stuff after we vote on it.
When you say, can you say, you mean at the in terms of the branding?
Yeah, in terms of the
Yeah.
branding, and also can
Mhm.
we do this, and then will any sort of office in Prince George's circulate this to, say, civic associations or other bodies like we have had spoken about earlier and hoped to be able to do?
I can send it to the Office of Community Relations
Okay,
for them to blast out.
that would be good. So we should get it in some good format that looks good when it gets blasted out so people can understand what it is and so on. So that would help us work towards that.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I think it is, we talked about it. I found it worked well for the audience I spoke to on Saturday in terms of just having something to share and send people to. So I think I would support that. And so I guess I'd offer a motion that we develop using this as a template with some light editing, and we develop this as a fact sheet to go on our website that we could be shared with others, and that yeah, just that now.
Yeah, and just, the reason we don't have the at-large on this is because at the time this was produced, the at-large seats were not there in Prince George's.
Oh,
I second that
so
motion.
yeah, and I think it would be great to add do one bullet, for the at large or something is about all that would be needed. We can see how that works and circulate that for people's reaction.
Okay. I second that motion.
So all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Aye.
All right.
Okay. Um, Vice Chair Teacher, I know you just came on, but I know that you had some specific things that you wanted to reference and discuss in regards to the public outreach and communication strategy. Just a quick update of what we already discussed, so I can turn it over to you to continue. We did discuss that right now we're going to, Ms. Warner Wiggins is going to find who exactly is over communications with the county executive. And now we've just voted on this, as well as thinking about the strategy of meeting with the HOAs and civic associations.
Yeah, okay. I didn't have, I mean, my question was just, yes, we can create all the fact sheets that we think would be useful, but would be good to know who is going to circulate to whom so we could frame it accordingly. I think it would be useful to have that information, Ms. Warner Wiggins, as we carve out and make these fact sheets. And if we can can we just put fair elections, Prince George's on it, or do we need to put, from the county or whatever other byline that needs to go on it? And if you have any thoughts, Mr. Galugli, on how things are being done in other counties, that would be useful as well.
No, I mean, I think you're all at different levels because of where you are in the
So we
experience.
can't hear you
Okay, we
well.
can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
No, you're very soft.
It's very low. It's very low.
Okay, he says we should go on to someone else while he works on his headset. So let's just do that. And I think Ms. Warner Wiggins was saying that we can get that clarification as we work on the document. So sort of who would like to, I mean, we can just do what we usually do, that is we can put this on a Google Doc and then circulate and then edit, once a couple of us have sort of feel this is okay, we can pop it on there for others to edit.
Yeah, that sounds good. Google Doc.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
And then maybe like an FAQ could have like part for candidates and where resources are, and um, just other information that would be helpful. And um, and the point about what candidates are not eligible at this point because of the the law that prevents people from doing fair public financing if they've already got a campaign account open. That kind of that detail could go into an FAQ, but also, we want to just point people back to the guidebook and to the state resources as well. But are you, Kevin? Well, you're still, when we get to you, like, just be interested if we've had any the kinds of questions you're getting, if from the prospective candidates in Prince George's and maybe elsewhere too. So if there's any messages that we can help raise answers to or present that people find confusing, or they they need to come to you for more detail, if we can help answer some of those things in advance, that would be welcome to know, so we could add that to like a FAQ doc.
What? We don't hear you.
It's not plugged in or something.
Yeah.
We faintly heard it before. It sounded like it was a secondary mic picking it up or something before, but we don't even hear that now.
So I just wanted to add that when you mentioned people having used their campaign accounts in prior in prior elections or for prior use. I think our special elections, the flurry of special elections that we've had this year, sort of makes it necessary for us to readdress that piece in the legislation, I think, because a lot of people, even people who may have run in the special election for a district seat or an at-large seat, would find themselves unable to run publicly financed, according to our legislation. And I think that might need to be rethought and reconstructed. Probably not much we can do right now, but maybe after this primary is done. It's something that we should make some recommendations to the council to fix.
Well, definitely we should do that, but I just think the timing on that, I mean, we could start accumulating things that are to address, but I would just think strategically that the probably want to do things all at once. And so maybe it's like after the general election next year, we do an assessment and then try to come up real soon after that with recommendations for potential change to the whole structure. And one of the things could even be, yeah. So I think we would have several things that might need addressing by the council. At least we would want to discuss with them.
Right. Do we know what the deadline is to register to run? Maybe Kevin can put that in the chat.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Filing deadline is by state law is the last Tuesday in February. So they have to be on the ballot by that date. They technically don't have to complete their registration as a public finance candidate until like 45 days out. So you can, in theory, go all the way to like early May before you do it, but you better be on the ballot beforehand or you're going to be knocked out. So effectively, it becomes the last Tuesday in February to get yourself on. Because that's something that you do when you file at the local board of elections for county offices, is that you go, where's it, Largo? Is that where the Prince George's Board of Elections is? Is it Largo?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you go there, Whereas if you're running for state delegate, state senate, or governor, or the like, you go to Annapolis and you go to our office there. So local offices, county offices, you go to Largo, with the exception of, I think it's state's attorney. State's attorney is also covered by the state. But other than that, so that's when they really have to get in.
So it's coming right
Yeah.
up. So I think that, really shows the need for some urgency to get the word out, because we really need people to be thinking about this now. To really do a lot of outreach in January is almost too late for candidates. I mean, it's not too late, but the more we can get done by Thanksgiving or early December, I would think the better.
Well, and look at it this way. I've looked at all public finance candidates in the local races since 2018. And if you divide the people that have filed for public financing into three sort of tranches, one would be those that file and get their committee set up a year out, when you can start collecting money. Then you do one from like July 1 until the end of the year, and then one after, with the new year. And overall, 60% of the people that apply for public financing qualify. If you're one of the people that file a year out, it's like 84% of you qualify. Those that apply between July 1 and December 31st, where we are right now, about 50% of those candidates qualify. After the first of the year, people that apply for public financing, only 38% of them, and these are from the two races in Montgomery, the one race in Howard, and the one in Baltimore City. So it's not a full and robust look at the entire state, but it gives you at least a thumbnail sketch on it. But it sort of follows into according to plan, which is the candidates that organize and plan earlier are going to be in better positions than those people who plan late. And that's the same. I haven't looked at traditional funding, but my guess is it would probably follow pretty much the same return, that people that don't apply on wait until January to open up a campaign account of any sort, they're probably not going to be as successful as people who did it a year out. So yeah, this is a key time to be talking to people right now. And, one of the things I was thinking of this is that if you're looking for advocates, and I don't know either of these two people, but there are two people from Prince George's County that have used public financing already. And they used it because they were running for governor, or they were on a ticket running for governor. So the former county executive, Rashawn Baker, he was on with Nancy Navarro for public financing in 2022. Now, maybe he had a good experience, maybe he didn't. But if someone knows him and has a relationship with him, you could reach out and ask him what he thought of public financing, and can he become a face and an advocate for you. The second person is, it was Heather Mazur's running mate when she ran for governor, the pastor Delmar Coates. Again, do not know either of these men personally. I do not know what their opinion is of public financing after they were in it. Maybe they're in favor of it. Maybe they thought it was awful. Their program is different than what we're in now. Although actually, no, Rashawn Baker, he used something that was very, very similar to ours. He came under the new system for governors. So his would have been like that. But you can ask either one of them, and they may be, that way you have an advocate who's sort of leading for you in the county. That's not a county staffer like Jackie or a state staffer like me.
Yeah, so I know Delman Coates well. He advocated for the legislation before the county council. He came and spoke twice, once at least, at a briefing before the county council when the bill was being discussed. And we actually had a meeting about public financing at his church when we were advocating for the bill. I think Rashawn Baker actually, in some sense, withdrew from the gubernatorial race running for the position sometime in the middle of the race, but didn't withdraw his his petition to be on the ballot or anything like that, because he was publicly financed, and if he'd done that, he would have had to return the monies that he had gotten. I don't know if how much matching money he got and so on. So it was not a tremendously successful campaign because he withdrew. But and I don't know how exactly that affected him, but that was the other. And he was county council. He was county executive when the bill was signed, when the Prince George's in 2018, when the legislation was signed in Prince George's.
So Rashern's a neighbor, and I don't know if somebody else knows him and wants to try to reach out, but I bump into him, so I was just out walking. He's walking his dog in the community. So I could try reaching out to him, but I think it's a good question to ask him first about how his experience was and how he would, what kind of a testimony or interpretation he would give for encouraging or not people to run. So I can try. I'm going to be gone for a little while, but I can try to reach out and see if we can make contact before the next meeting, and certainly as soon as possible.
Mhm. And I think, again, the stuff that you did, Dan, is really admirable, and that's what you want to do, is going out and be an advocate for this program. I mean, we're a little slow here, but again, you're still further ahead than where we were in Baltimore City at the appropriate time. We didn't have anyone file until September. We have at least 2 in the program. I've talked to a couple others that have come through, some of them recommendations from people here in this commission, or they at least said, talk to Kevin. And I appreciate that, and continue to send those folks to me. We're still doing the lunch and learns to be able to help people understand it. And again, our premise is really, we want to help people not make mistakes. And most of the mistakes people make are honest mistakes because they don't know what they're doing. Because when you get involved in races, you don't necessarily think of, boy, I really would love to be able to understand an archaic campaign finance software program because I don't have enough to do in my life. But I'm being sarcastic. It's my native tongue. I don't know if it's because I'm Irish or I'm just sarcastic, probably both. But the point is that, people make honest mistakes, and we're trying to be able to help people avoid those. So we're allowing people, when they do their contribution card, it's really a receipt. It's what they attach to it. You'll see it at the back of the summary guide. They can send it to me, and I can sort of check to make sure you're gathering all the right information. Nothing worse than having this contribution card with the attestation, and you get the attestation wrong, or they don't declare that they are a county resident. There has to be an affirmative aspect of that. It's written out in the summary guide. And those are honest mistakes, so why not try to stop them before they start? So I'm telling everyone to be able, the candidates to be able to upload their receipts so I can see them and take a look at them, or they can send an email to me and I'll gather them. But overall, statewide, we're doing pretty well. We have 37 candidates across the state right now. The most we ever had was, we had 39 4 years ago, and that's 2 counties. And we had 40 in the first go around just from Montgomery County, and we're at 37 right now. So there's a lot more open seats. Only one of the jurisdictions, your jurisdiction, won't have an open. All of them have open county executive races, so that has generated people in all those other counties to do it. Here, you just elected yours. So, but there are openings, and it's just a matter of getting people comfortable with it. And, again, you guys talked about you passed the bill, what was it, 2019? Was that when it was?
18.
18. Yeah, it's a long time for people to remember between those 2 points. And so, going out and finding your community members will be very, very helpful. And I can give you, I'm still working on updating our state website with the area for the county public financing portal. I keep getting pulled away on other things, but I want to get that up with all of our recordings for things there. But I think you maybe have to tell people numerous times the same thing over and over before it really sticks. And I think you're right, smaller segments that aren't as, going over more question and answers, because everyone has pretty much the same questions. They're pretty universal. Can I do it? What's it mean? Can I keep my other account? Can I transfer stuff over? What do I have to do? When can I start? Those types of things.
Yeah, so I would just encourage folks too, that if just think whatever community organization or any HOA or something. So Greenbelt Labor Day Parade, there were folks there from the Greenbelt Democratic Club. And so I just talked to them and said, yeah, we would probably be interested in having a speaker come to one of their meetings, and meet monthly. And so those are the kind of things we could do. And so either if it's a more formal thing, people could use the whole PowerPoint, but I just found, just this little fact sheet and just the basic information there is just a great way to start discussion and get the Q&A going. And it has the highlights. And I think one of the things that is how, that we can be doing, it's about, we want candidates to run, but it's also just helping people understand what this is about, and that how we can support, residents can support candidates in this vein. So, my personal view, is that those interested in kind of reforming donations and money in politics, we should be considering signing and giving a donation to anybody that's running public financing. And as I sort of said there, I said, well, my view is that we want to encourage this program, and it's hard. When I looked at the numbers again before this, qualify, somebody has to have 150 donations that average $50. So that's substantial, and just takes an effort. And when you don't have money up front to start, maybe that's a question for Kevin, is the only way that people can finance sort of that upfront, getting those initial donations from their own amount of money they can contribute to it, which is what, is that $6,000? Whatever that amount is that the only way that people can do that?
No,
Yeah,
you can loan to your campaign, as you just said. That's correct. And I believe in Prince George's, and I can be corrected here, but I believe it's just the candidate and the spouse, and you can
yeah,
get,
it's a candidate and the spouse.
and
Yeah.
is it 6 and 6? Is that right?
Yes,
Is it a
it's
total
6
of
and
12?
6. Yes.
Yeah. Some of the jurisdictions have larger families. But here's the other thing. Let's say you had a website and you're starting out. Let's say it costs you $3,200 and the guy or gal can't wait. You could have, let's say I'm running for county council at large, and Dan is on my team, and I don't have the money to pay this person, but I need to, because I need this platform to be able to get donations. Dan could basically do an outstanding obligation, and that's legal to do on a regular campaign or on a public finance one. When you put in their expenditure, there's a place to mark it in Chris that it's an outstanding obligation. And then once more money comes in, the campaign pays off Dan. And so you could do that. Generally there's going to be about 2 or 3 things you need on a campaign to start out. A website so people can see you and put stuff up, a platform to be able to collect, a third-party vendor, whether it's Stripe, DonorBox, NGP, Nation Builder, on and on and on, one of those. And then the other thing is that you're going to need probably a voter file. And you probably will get that through the party, Republicans through the Republicans, Democrats through the Democratic thing. You can also get it from us, but there's usually a little bit more customization inside the party run one because they have a platform that allows them to use it. And so those things could probably run you about $10,000 by the time you're done with everything. Maybe about, it's about six for, depending on what office you're running for. It could be six for a voter file. It could be maybe a third of that if you're running for a district, and then you're still going to have that. So there are a lot of outstanding expenses at the start, and so that's the reason we allow them loans. And you can also do an outstanding obligation. So you'd have like maybe you can't afford 3,200, but maybe you put down, half of that, and someone else puts down another half, and then that way we get ourselves started, and we know we have to pay you back when we get more donations. So those are ways to do it. But this is really a grassroots way of running a campaign and raising your money.
And I think it really helps if you're already known in the community. If you are a grassroots person in any way active in any shape or form, if you can put the word out on neighborhood lists and so on, and somebody may step up and say, I can build you a free website. There's this free website location, and we can put your stuff up there. So that's the kind of stuff you need. I think if you're going to run publicly financed, is you really should have popular ideas, and you should have groups of people who are in sync with you and then are looking to do the same things. It's that really helps, I think, versus just saying I want to run for public office and then come from sort of nowhere. But yeah, it's everything doesn't have to be everything doesn't have to depend on money for an initial push, is what
That is true. That is true. But I
I
was
mean,
just using an
I'm just
example.
reminded of someone who ran in Montgomery County who started her campaign at the Langley Park Farmers Market, and she came and testified before the Prince George's Council on her public financing campaign. And she said there were people there with SNAP coupons, nobody had ever approached them and said, would you donate to my campaign? And how their eyes lit up when people actually stopped to talk to them, and they found their $5 would be worth $25. So it's people then would take that message, I found someone who speaks to us, and tell their neighbors and so on. And you would get campaign activists, which I think would far surpass the ability of your money to reach. So I think that's, there's pluses to being on this side and doing and running the publicly financed campaign.
So I found that information very helpful, Kevin, about that outstanding obligation. There's a way to get started. It's kind of wonky, but I get into the weeds there. It's not something that I would present in an overview necessarily, but
I wouldn't
once
either.
a candidate or somebody was interested, that's a real question that would come up. And so that was great to clarify. But in terms of the other point that I just to final close out a point I was making before that. So I was saying, sends, if somebody's running, do $10, $25, whatever, to help enable them to get on the ballot, and then can challenge them, talk to me more. I want to learn more about your campaign, and I'm be interested, maybe I'll double that and I'll give you another 25 or 50 or whatever. So it doesn't mean you have to vote for them or make that decision that you're with them all the way through. But if they seem like a solid candidate from the community and they've got some support and they make sense, I think we should, just collectively as a community, we should be supporting candidates that come from that sort of spirit, and then we'll vet them more. I mean, it's going to be a long campaign. They're going to have to raise far more money than that will get them the $7,500 match. They're going to need to keep working, and they're going to need to have a message strong enough and network strong enough to mobilize a lot more people.
And the nice thing about Prince George's is just like Baltimore City is you start your donation level at $1. So I mean, you know, all the others start at $5. So there's a, you know, it can be really empowering for someone who hasn't been involved in politics to just have to give a single dollar and see that it multiplies in the case of Prince George's 7 times. So $1 becomes 8. Have I lost everyone?
No, we're there.
We're
Okay,
out here.
Thanks.
everyone looks still on my camera. It's like, oh God, I'm talking to myself. Jackie, I was worried. You're not moving at all over there. Now I see you smiling, so that's good.
So we're a few minutes out from 7. Other thoughts, other questions? I think what we've decided is we're going to work on this document and get it ready, and Jacqueline's going to find out if it, you know, how to get it out and to whom they would send it out to and so on. So between that, I think we have some material that we can send out, you know, hopefully in the short term, and we can also circulate it. I mean, I know I can circulate it to Couch Park Civic Associations, for instance, because I know all the presidents of the civic association. So if you know, there are listservs, there's a Hartsville listserv, there are places we can put these flyers once we have them ready.
I also just wanted to make sure everyone saw the email I forwarded from Common Cause about the webinar they're doing on Saturday morning.
So I'm not sure if it is this Saturday. Joanne called me this afternoon and is thinking of moving it to October, she said.
No,
Okay.
I actually was talking with Joanne before I got on here. No,
Yeah.
they're still doing the one on the 13th. What
Okay.
she was talking to you about was that she wants to have all the commission members from all the different counties get together and sort of figure out what's, you know, being able to talk and find out what's going on in each of your counties and maybe learn what are some of the good practices of each other. So that's what she was looking for the October meeting.
So we should put out a call to people to say there's this meeting on the 13th and they should join if they're interested in public financing.
Correct.
Okay. All right. And what time
And
was it on the 13th?
It's the 13th, so this Saturday, I think it goes from 9
Mhm.
until noon. It may not be the full 3 hours that Joanne was talking about, maybe moving it back an hour because they're not going to need the full 3 hours because they were hoping to have breakout sessions, but if they don't have enough people for breakouts, you know, the biggest problem is that a breakout, we may go to Prince George's and we may have, you know, 2 commissioners, me and 1 candidate, and that could be overwhelming, as opposed to if you're in Montgomery, you know, you could have like 6 candidates and, you know, 1 staffer. And yet everyone has differing approaches. So what she was looking for the October one was for you and all the other commissioners that have been active and just learning, because there's steep learning curves with this. You know, a lot of people don't on the commission want to help out, but they don't feel comfortable. Either they're not naturally good speakers, or that's not their strong suit, or they also don't feel like they know the material well enough to get up there and answer questions. So that can happen. But there can still be an excellent, you know, resource because of the people that they know.
Any other thoughts, questions, ideas? Ms. Nelson, Ms. Toulson, anything else? Or should we?
Nobody have anything. Nothing for me.
Yep. All right, so we'll pop the document on a Google Sheet. We can add the graphics in after that. I think it wasn't talking about I think the graphic is sufficient to cater to all the seats that are up for public financing. We just have to talk a bit about the at-large in there. Any other thoughts, comments, or should we wind up? Can someone make a motion to end the meeting?
Sure, I'll move to conclude the meeting.
A second.
All right. We have the votes, please. Aye.
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 All right. Thank you, everyone, and sorry for being late. And hopefully I'll keep my half an hour's straight next time.
Thanks.
Okay.
Good night,
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone.
All
Good
right.
night.
Thanks, staff.
Good night.